the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters, welcoming you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 today. It's the first Friday in the month, and I know all of you have been looking forward to this one, which means we will definitely be hitting peak woo tonight, as R. Keith Andrews is back for the ET Connection. A lifelong ET contactee and experiencer, R. Keith now uses his experiences to help those in need of understanding theirs with off-world beings. So tonight, we're getting into the ET abduction. What's it like? Why is it happening? Is it a positive or a negative experience? We'll find out in just a minute. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. R. Keith Andrews, my friend, I cannot wait, because it's literally 3 weeks from tonight. We're going to be hanging out at the Forest Moon Paracon down in Cedar-Woolley, Washington. And you know as well as I do, Eric Cooper and his Forest Moon Paranormal team put on one heck of a show down there.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's going to be something else.
You know what I look forward to is meeting the people there. And if you're in Washington State, or you're within driving distance, or looking for a weekend away, that's the place to go. Eric puts on a great show with his team, and it's getting better every year. And, you know, it's very open, very friendly. Everybody kind of hangs out and mingles with each other. This will be my 4th year in a row. I think your 3rd year, Keith.
Yeah, it's my 3rd. I didn't even know you guys existed on the first one. So, and I'll tell you, last year was funny, because I was asked last year if I was coming back. And I remember very clearly, I told the person, yeah, I'm planning on coming. I just have no idea whether or not I'm speaking. And right then, Eric come up behind me, he put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, what do you mean you don't know? I've already booked you.
Well, you know what? Eric's a class guy, and so is his wife, Izzy, and their entire team. And, you know, I just cannot thank them enough for allowing me to come down 4 years in a row to speak there. And I'm looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it as well. So it's something that, you know, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you, having a drink, and learning about the aliens, man. Learning about the aliens. It'll be a lot of fun. And if people are looking for tickets for the Forest Moon Paracon, if you're in Washington State, Oregon, maybe the Northern California area, Idaho, Montana, British Columbia, that's the driving distance. Head there. I think tickets are like maybe $20 for the event, $90 if you want the VIP passes to hang out with all of us afterwards and get into some private discussions and all that. I think it's absolutely worth it. Go to fmparacon.com and make sure you check it on out, get your tickets. Keith, it's been a month since we talked to you. How you been doing, man?
Well, if we ignore yesterday, I've been doing actually reasonably well. A lot of changes happening, but things are still screwy as far as health goes, so I'm still breathing. We're ahead of the game.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Well, I'm glad to have you back once again. And once again, we always have new listeners who are tuning on in for the first time. What's it like being a lifelong experiencer?
Well, you know, a lot of people look at the whole issue of abductions and contact and see it as a life-changing thing. Well, for me, that's how my life started. Right? Like, I have no idea what it's like not to be that way. So when I talk about having friends in high places, I'm referring to literally I've got friends that have never set foot on the planet. You know.
Well, that's good. What's that like? What's that like?
Which, having friends up there or never setting foot here? You know. No, it's actually a lot of the abductions I could have absolutely done without. You know, because I did start off on the side from the standpoint of being taken very much against my will. Right. I went through the horrors of the shall we say involuntary examinations, and I'll tell you that it is one of those things that if you've ever been through it, or if you think you've ever been through it, it will change your name or change your view in a very big way. The hardest thing to deal with, I think, is trying to talk to people about it and have them not think you're completely off your nut, especially if you're thinking you're off your nut to start with. You know, I've talked to a lot of people that have gone through that sort of thing. You know, I've gone through an abduction, and it's like, how do you cope with it? And the real key is to find people such as yourself that they can bounce it off and say, this is what I think happened, and you'll look at it and go, okay, that either it fits, or have you considered this possibility, without actually going, no, you're completely off your nut. Right? Because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than thinking you're nuts and having everybody around you tell you the same thing. But it does become, for me, it became routine, which is kind of an odd setup when you think about it. You know, but I've dealt with the potassium crashes that have been proven to be caused by in astronauts when they go off world. Right. When you take a look at the people running the space shuttles, they've done the test and found out that they suffer from a potassium crash when they land. I've gone through those, and they are not fun. I feel for the astronauts. But, like everything, you do actually get used to it. Now, for the people that, like, when we're talking the negative abductions, it's not something to get used to. It's something you sort of cope with. Right? I think the hardest part is once it's happened, you can never look at the world the same way.
No, you cannot. Definitely not. And many people say that, Keith. Many people say that their life has changed. Whether it's for the good or bad is indifferent when I say that, but their life is better. They see things differently with their own eyes. They feel that people are looking at them differently. Is that just categorically natural for any ET experiencer?
From virtually everyone I've talked to, the answer is yes. You get the occasional one that felt that they didn't fit in the first place, and the abduction didn't really change that, but that is such a small number of people. You know, the greater majority of people I've talked to that have felt they've been abducted or suddenly started suffering from missing time, they look at it and they just cannot shake the feeling anymore. You know, the one thing that I have always cautioned people when they go, I really wish I had one. You know, I really wish I had that experience. And I'm right now, it's like, be careful what you wish for. It is not as much fun as you think. You know.
I agree.
I mean, the idea it could happen is one thing. To be faced with the reality that it has happened is another one altogether. You know, I mean, even if you think of for the first interaction you had when Carl decided he was going to pop into the scene. You know, it's one thing to feel you're being watched, it's another to come face to face with the watcher. You know, I mean, it threw me for...
That is very true.
You know, when I found out about it in the first place, right, I found out about the first abduction when I was actually 23 when I really had concrete proof of it. And the hypnotherapist I was seeing, when he laid it out for me, he looks at me and he goes, we have a major problem. Because it turned out that my first positive experience happened when I was 5 years old and ended up on a starship. You know, I'm standing on the deck of a starship watching the Earth rise. And I'll tell you, you never see the world the same way. Now, I'm not sure how a 5-year-old is supposed to see the world, but I know
How do you know that wasn't a dream, though, at 5 years old, that you were taken and watched the Earth rise?
I actually asked the doctor about that, and I asked multiple other ones afterwards. Because, I mean, I know I've got an imagination that is just hard to stop. So, of course, I asked the doctor, with an imagination like mine, with the field I work in, and with the potential, abductions, how do I know what is real and what is not? Right, what is real, what's imagination? And without exception, they've all said the same thing. And these are professional hypnotherapists and doctors that are trained to look at this stuff. Without exception, they've gone, well, you look at it this way. Number one, you take a look at how the experience is relayed. If it is relayed in language that is age appropriate and period specific, right? Plus, you have an emotional response to it that is situational and is situationally appropriate. When those three fall into place, you're dealing with reality. Okay, so when I first looked at it, what I was describing was walls of lights and toggle switches and rails and a whole bunch of whirring and clicking sounds, looking at a wall, looking at a wall that you could see through. Right, and I was describing lights in the darkness. This black sheet with all these pinpoint lights, right, and all sorts of things like swirling patterns of lights that I had no idea what I was looking at. In all fairness, right. Plus, I had this the wall in there. There was this bipedal, what I called a bipedal lizard. Well, I called it a two-legged lizard, crouched down beside me with her arm over my shoulder, pointing through the wall, just to come up over the edge of the moon, and saw the Earth, and she pointed at it, and I don't know what she was saying from an actual linguistic standpoint, but I understood what she was saying. She pointed to the planet, and she goes, "That's where you're from," and then she points over to another spot. And using a what I can tell you now was a laser printer. What I saw was she pointed a stick at the wall and traced a line across this wall to show where she was from. Right, and it was the weirdest thing because in the background I saw all these little people. I don't know if they were kids. All I knew was they were all about the same height, playing what amounted to a zero gravity version of wall ball.
Right.
And this was the first positive experience I'd had in my life. Never mind, as far as the off-worlders went. And the doctor looks at me and he goes, "We have a mess to work out." I'm like, "Well, what is that?" And that's when he turns around and tells me, "Oh, by the way, on top of being a hypnotherapist, I'm also a specialist in UFO abductions." And of course, my first thought was, Yeah, my first thought was, "What do you mean UFO abductions?" And he goes, "What you just described is looking back at Earth, and there's only one way you can do that." I says, "Well, yeah, you can't be on the planet if you're looking back at a planet." Right. And then over the next little while, we pulled up a bunch of other information, over the next several sessions, we pulled up an awful lot of extra information, which is why when people talk about the dark side of the moon, I'm going, for being the dark side, there's an awful pile of light over there.
Well, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So when you are going through this, and this happened when you were a child, for a lot of people, they may say that's a vivid imagination as a child, but you had people whom you talked to in a professional standard to say, yeah, you were taken, which is very cool that you lucked out that way. Now, Keith, as you started to grow older, and as people start to grow older in their preteens, their teens, their early 20s, what's it like to be abducted at that time in your life when everything is so different? Your body is changing rapidly. Your knowledge is changing rapidly. Everything is just in full flex preparing you for adulthood.
Well, I'll tell you, if you think you have trouble with puberty to start with, try throwing that into it. No, don't. it leaves you standing so far outside the normal, the normal curve of people, because you don't even see people the same way. I grew up with a lot of prejudice going on, with people looking at other people going, "Oh, you're the wrong color," or you're the wrong religious sect. And I'm looking at this going, people, and I'm literally at like 13, 14 years old going, "You're all human." Like, what do you mean that is not a different race? I've seen different races. That is not it. And I remember getting very lost, where I just walked away from everybody. Because I couldn't understand at all how people were so blocked out about each other just because of a different style of clothing. I mean, let's face it, at 14 years old, I was roughly I was a little shorter than I am now, but I was 5'3", 5'4", and some of the people I was looking at, some of the people I was meeting off-world, are over 8 feet tall. I mean, they got 3 feet on me. I'm like, now that's a different race. I was only, I guess, probably 3 years old, maybe 4, when I met Bigfoot. And when people tell me that it's such a violent animal, a violent creature, I'm thinking that was one of the gentlest creatures I've ever run into.
Where did you run into Bigfoot?
On Vancouver Island. Don't ask me where. I presume it was probably on Mount Washington, but I really don't know.
Beautiful area, Mount Washington, by the way.
Oh, it is. And we used to actually snowmobile up there before it became a ski resort. But no, we had gone camping, and I got lost up there. I'd wandered away from the campsite. My getting lost was just normal. And I remember this, I'll call it a little Bigfoot. I mean, at 3 years old, you're, 3.5 feet tall if you're lucky? And this guy thing came out of nowhere, suddenly appears beside me, and of course I was in tears because I was totally lost. And he took me back, this kid took me back over to their little campsite, and there was a mom and a dad. And you could tell they were mom and dad the way they dealt with each other. Right, sitting on the log. And this little guy led me over to them. Well, I thought he was big. 5 feet tall and 3 feet wide was the way I was looking at it. But he brought me to these two, and they sat there and talked to me for the longest time, tried to got me to calm down. And I don't know how they figured out where I was from. I mean, I remember them trying to get information from me. They don't speak English. So, of course, we're trying to draw pictures in the sand, and I am not an artist. But somehow I managed to get across to them that they were looking for what we were actually driving was a camper that was made from an old cube truck. Right? So I had just drawn a box with the round circles for wheels. And the father all of a sudden looks at me, and he stands up, and I'll tell you, talk about a tall chap. I mean, I'm like 2.5 feet tall, and he's over 8. Right? Reaches down, grabs me by the hand, and we start off. Right? And, of course, I couldn't keep up, so he picked me up to carry me to where he was going. He got me to the edge of the camp, to where the camper was. And he set me down in the bush, and then, sort of pushed me along. You know how you get a little kid to walk, you put your hand on their backside and you kind of shove them forward? So I stumbled out of the woods into the campsite, where Mom and Dad were frantically trying to figure out where I was, and so were the rest of the brothers. Right. And I wandered out, and that resulted in all sorts of interesting questions. Of course, all I could tell them was a big furry man brought me back. And I didn't call him a Sasquatch, I called him a furry man. Because to me, furry that's man. All.
And how old were you when this happened?
I would guess, considering I was walking comfortably, I would guess I was probably 3, maybe 4.
You're lucky you didn't get taken.
Try that again, Dave?
I said, you're lucky you didn't get taken.
Well, that happened before. That happened elsewhere. Just not by them.
Have you ever been taken by a Bigfoot outside of it?
No. No, I'm sad to say that was the only encounter, the only physical encounter I've had with them. But it was one that this is why when people talk about them being a vicious animal, I'm looking at them going, no, they really aren't.
Hey, I got a question for you. As we only got about 2 minutes before we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, our Keith Andrews is our guest tonight. Keith, you live on Okanagan Lake, or near it, which is very famous for the Ogopogo.
Yep.
Do you believe that is an actual dinosaur, or do you believe that it's probably a giant sturgeon or a giant eel or something else besides a prehistoric animal?
No, it's in my opinion, it is definitively a prehistoric animal, specifically a long-necked plesiosaur.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
Did you communicate with it?
20 years ago, I was coming down the mountain from the other side of the bridge, looking down, and I saw this thing cutting through the water, and it wasn't just the rippled neck. I saw the whole body underneath the water. And sturgeons are not that wide. I would guess this thing was. I'm not good with distance at the best of times, but it had to be at least 30 feet across the back. And I don't mean from one end to the other. I mean side to side. Because it did have, it had the long neck, it had the tail, the fins, the whole 9 yards. From my standpoint, there is no question what it was. Of course, understand, I was studying dinosaurs before I got into kindergarten. So recognizing it was the easy part. And no, before anybody comes up with that brilliant idea, no, I didn't actually get close to it. Of course, I don't like the water that much.
30 seconds left. Could you communicate with it?
Never tried. Not at that distance.
Would you try? Go down to the lake and maybe try and communicate with it?
If I could figure out where it was, yeah, I probably would.
But even now, I mean, Okanagan Lake is almost 70 miles long.
Well, that would be... and they have no idea how deep it is.
All right. On that note, we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Our Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio with the ET Connection. Happens the first Friday of every month. We'll be back with more Keith right after this.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd Psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Welcome to all of you. Remember, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to our free YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and if you've had a sighting and experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. The first Friday of every month, we go peek woo with our Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. Keith, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
I want to start getting into ET abduction. All right? Because for a lot of people out there, they look at this as a very scary thing. Hollywood has made it a very scary thing. Out of all the times you have been abducted, probably into the thousands now, how many of them on a percentage do you think were good comparatively to bad?
Well, because of the connections I made, quite frankly, I would have to say realistically probably about 5% of them were bad, and they went right from bad to all the way down to horrendous. Right. Because the first batch were just miserable. I mean, I remember one in particular where they literally, the race that picked me up, literally snapped my arm just to find out how much pressure it would take. You know, and when you're a kid, getting your arm broken is frightening enough. Having somebody do it deliberately is another issue altogether. You know, and I mean, and how do you tell anybody? Especially considering the fact they repaired it after they broke it. They didn't repair it well, but they repaired it. You know, but yeah, I would have to say realistically, probably 5%. But that would be the first end of the abductions, and then I had an encounter that changed everything. Because one young lady, and I'll use the term lady a little loosely, she was Thrazazian. She was a 7.5-foot reptilian female that corrected the whole 9 yards, or more to the point, if you will, took me under her wing and decided that every time that something was going sour, she'd show up, or one of her people would show up to interrupt the problem, which took me from being brutally abducted and, you know, what I considered, and any kid will consider it the same way, I considered it being torture. Right, because they're doing examinations, they're taking blood samples and what have you, and these guys do not recognize what humans go through. I mean, it was frightening enough just being taken, never mind having operations done. You know, I call them operations, but I mean, in all fairness, they didn't remove anything. You know, so it's an absolutely terrifying situation that resulted in me spending my entire childhood feeling like I was being watched. Only I never looked over my shoulder, at least not at ground level. I was always looking at the sky. I was always looking at the rooftops to figure out where these people were. And I remember being asked as a young lad, right, what I was looking for, and I would invariably, it's like, I'm being followed. And it's like, you're looking at the roof. I know. That's where I'm being followed from. That's where they are. And people wouldn't get it. And of course, that you start thinking that you're nuts when it comes to that. You know, when you're looking at it going, I know I'm being followed, but I can't see anything, and everybody else is telling me you're not being followed. You know, as a child, you start looking at it going, I really am losing my mind.
Right. You must gain a lot of knowledge, and this leads to Jade's question in the SOR Space Travelers. What type of knowledge do you obtain while you were with the ETs?
Well, I think the fundamental issue that I discovered over time was there is a major difference in most of the skeletal configuration. In other words, most of the appearance. But the races themselves are virtually the same as humans. They've got the same core line desires. You know, they want to be accepted. They want to understand what they're looking at. They want to have food on the table. Now, granted, some of their food I question. You know,
what are you moving around there, man? We're hearing a lot of background noise.
Oh, sorry, I don't feel well. In case we didn't.
What are you doing? Are you pulling other show host and banging your desk there, or what?
Yeah, no, playing around with a comb.
Oh, okay. That isn't a comb. That's a hair pick. You're using a hair pick to fluff out those sideburns, aren't you?
Well, the answer to that is yes, I do.
Beautiful.
Well, hey, there's nothing worse than when they get tangled.
Very true. Very true. Well, if you could keep it off the desk, I'd really appreciate that, bud. Thank you.
Yeah, apologies.
All right. Yeah, no problem. What are you learning from the ETs while you're there? What kind of knowledge are they giving you?
Well, I've learned a lot about the social interaction. One of the things I found with the majority of them is they operate with a very simple philosophy, right? And that is, they're here on the whole. Yes, they're here to study. They're here to do scientific testing, as in check bloodlines, find out how how humans and other animals are evolving. You know, other animals, other species, including plants, by the way. This is a massive, like Earth itself, is a massive science. If you will, it's a reserve, right? It'd be like human scientists going over to a wildlife reserve to study the animals that are there. Earth just happens to be a very big one, you know. But they've all got their own agendas as far as what they're trying to study. Sometimes it's full-blown scientists, sometimes it's students that are coming down, but invariably there are some guidelines that they are given. You know, some do-not-dos, if you will. One of the biggest ones is that they are not supposed to let anybody see themselves, which is where Carl got in trouble. They do have Greek.
Where is Carl these days?
Right now, he happens to be over in Zeta Reticuli. He got called home for, shall we say, questioning, because he was pushing limits on where he was going with his exploration, and his comment was pretty cut and dried. When he was asked why, he goes, "Because humans are fascinating."
Have you talked to Carl?
Not recently. About a month ago, I did.
What do you have to say?
Well, he's trying to figure out how to get past the protocols right now, because he had his wings clipped. As in, because he wouldn't pay attention to, and you'll love this one. I'm translating, obviously, but he literally made the comment that, well, why would he listen to his commanding officer? His commanding officer wouldn't let him explore. And that's what he came here to do. You know, he was on a scientific, in his eyes, he was on a scientific research thing. And as he put it, he says, "I do not understand why the commanding officer told me that going to a glass wall is a bad thing." He says, the fact that there was somebody in there with another small box with a glass wall on it, with some sort of ancient communication device, why couldn't I go and look at it? We were there to examine the place. Why couldn't I go? You know, I mean, the way he explained it, I'm sort of looking at it going, you know, this sounds like a teenager being told, no, you can't do that. Of course, he immediately looks at me and goes, well, how old do you really think I am? You know? By the way, Carl is not actually, he is not exactly a old individual. I mean,
when's he coming back? When's he coming back?
Well, if he gets his way, he'll be back before the Paragon. It actually doesn't take him too long to get here if he can grab a ship to get here. The trick is getting past the red tape and making it work properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course,
so
you got to remember.
What was that?
The thing you got to remember is not only does he have to find a way to get a ship, but he's got to get a crew that'll actually bring him. You know, try and picture back in the 20s trying to escape Alcatraz and having to arrange for somebody to pick you up when you get out.
Right. So the question is, the big question is, what does he want with us? What's he want with old Davy here?
Quite frankly, he's fascinated. The way he put it, he's really finding your efforts rather. How did he put it? Ultimately, it boiled down to your efforts are. Yeah, you love this coming from a Gray. Your efforts are strange. Right. You know, he does not understand why, because he goes, you know, you're not trying to chase them away, you're not planning hunting trips to go and catch any of them. You're just trying to understand them. And he goes, that's what a scientist does. Only the guy behind the glass wall doesn't act like a scientist. And definitely doesn't dress like one. Like, you're apparently missing the proper attire.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, what am I supposed to do? Look like Hunter S. Thompson on here? Or what? Big cigarettes hanging out of my mouth? Yellow glasses?
Yeah, I'm not entirely certain how that works.
I don't know. So my question then is, when he does get back, what will he do? Is he visiting other humans? Is he cheating on me?
Well, as he put it, that creates a problem. Going and running around to see all the different humans, although that's fun, he says he gave that up years ago. He picks one, and that's the one he sticks with to see how it changes. And to see if the efforts actually change. What he keeps telling what he was saying, he keeps arguing with the council over, is that he's got to get back to find out what your efforts have resulted in. You know, see if you're still, if you've changed because of the change in the apparent visibility. You know, because as you know, a lot of people that get into this industry, as they get more well known, they all of a sudden get into this neat little issue of, oh, I'm special because I'm better known. And Carl's got this opinion of you that you're not doing that, which is weird. You know, I keep looking at him, and it was a really kind of comical conversation, because I looked at him and I said, you're one to call somebody weird. You know? But he's not playing. He's planning on coming back down. Quite frankly, if he gets his way, he's planning on spending a little bit of time down there. You know, because he is fascinated by the push that you're making to get out of the, if you will, obscure zone into the main spotlight. Right. But he did say that you've got to be careful, because he doesn't want to come back and find out that you've been hauled off to some, to some internment camp because you said something wrong, or because you asked too many questions in the wrong way. Okay. I mean, ultimately, he's got a lot of interest in what's going on and in the effort that is taking place.
Do you believe then, though, that is he a friendly? Is he adverse? Is he someone that is wanting to pop my eyes out and use them for scientific examination?
No, he is somebody that would just as soon sit down and try one of these things, as he put it, what do you call it, beer? You know, that was the way he put it. He doesn't know what this beer stuff is, but he knows that you like it a lot. And in all fairness, he didn't call it beer. What he called it was a drink that was like the thing hanging on your face, but without all the pieces, without all the letters. Also known as a beard without a D.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, somebody said that Carl could spell.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And, I just know from that fleeting experience that I have had the twice that he has been around, it's been kind of weird. And, it's something, Keith, that I don't know how to really approach this, but you kind of yearn for it to happen. You know what I'm saying? You yearn for it to happen again.
Yeah, and the reality there is because both of your encounters, yes, a little weird, but not frightening per se, and certainly not negative. Absolutely you yearn for it. I've had situations where yearning for would be the last way I would explain it. From that standpoint, like I've had some where the last thing you want to do is see the race all over again. Right. But no, once you've had it, it's, I almost want to call it a drug. Like a drug rather. It's something that once you felt it, it gives you a very weird sense. If it's a positive experience, it's almost a sense of, gee, I've got to have that feeling again. Problem is, it doesn't always go the same way. Okay. It doesn't always work out as comfortable as it does on every encounter. But it is one of those things that it was very much like my first run-in with Sasquatch. Right? I always wanted to run into them again. Okay, but because it was such a bizarre feeling, right, that you just want to see what that is. Okay.
Right. I want to get to Robin's question. He is asking, when people get abducted, which alien breed most would abduct people?
Well, that's the easy part. The Greys and the Nords. The Nords work with the Greys, but the Greys are the primaries that do the abductions. Okay, and they do it most of the time because of simply scientific research. Like, they are true scientists. Okay, but that's the ones that do it the most, and most of the time they're doing it on sanctioned abduction. In other words, the consortium has said, yes, you can carry on with it. Okay. But they do it for them because they're still working on perfecting the hybridization program. And it's not a question of them having a quota they're allowed to do. Quite frankly, most of the time the Greys do their abductions, and what they try and do is grab the person, take them, deal with it, and put them back. They don't always manage it quite right, which is why some of them end up in the wrong place. But usually that's because of a rookie crew.
What do you mean by rookie crew?
Well, as with all things, you've got to have practice. You've got to learn. Okay, you've got to be trained how to go. Like even humans in school, you go into learning science. They get you to run through an experiment. They get you to run through control factors and all of that. The off-worlders have the same sort of training, but they're doing it in live field experiments. They just don't do it a lot in the lab.
Okay. Let's get to Dale's question. Uncle Dale's Power Stash is asking, how can Greys be so stupid that they don't understand what hurts and scares humans?
Well, I'm going to answer that in a really backwards fashion. The Greys keep asking, how can humans be so stupid as to figure that hurting each other actually equates to caring? And I know that sounds backwards, but the reality is they know it hurts. This is why they throw the throw the blanks on. You know, like they throw the memory screens on to try and help people cope a little. But they don't, because they don't quite understand the pain threshold, and humans have such a wide variation on what each one can handle in the way of pain, that it's hard to get a handle on it.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. We got about a minute and a bit to go before we go to break at the top of the hour. Our Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. And, Keith, when the Greys do that, though, it's my assumption that they just don't have any feeling at all. It's not that they're stupid or they're not remorseful or anything. They just don't understand the human ways, probably because they're mostly AI.
Well, that's actually a massive mistake. They're not actually mostly AI. They're an actual race, and no, they're not dying out because of cloning. But you are right that they do not understand the entirety of the way the pain threshold works, because what they have learned themselves is they've learned mentally how to override pain, so they don't really have the anesthetic necessary to work on humans. You know, so much as they'd love for it not to hurt, they don't know how to bypass it yet. Okay, but you're absolutely right. It's not a question of stupidity.
So, are they just going by a manuscript, so to speak?
In a manner of speaking, the answer is yes. Okay, like they've got protocols. You know, they've got absolute protocols that they follow through. You know. And this is why they have to be trained, is to make sure they get the protocols down. Because what they try and do is abduct people with the least invasion, like with the least disruption to their own life as possible.
Right.
Okay. You know, I mean, they do understand the fact that it does cause disruption, but they haven't figured out how they can get the information without causing disruption altogether. You know, that's just the sad reality of it. But, you know, the reality of it is that they do care whether people are upset, whether it makes people uncomfortable, whether it causes complications. They just can't compensate for it very much, you know, very well. Right. You know, one thing that they have tried to tell some of the scientists that they've abducted is, yes, we're having trouble compensating for this. Are you doing the same thing for your own abductions?
Right. Keith, I'm going to have to leave you right there because we're going to break at the top of the hour. Hour 1 done with our Keith Andrews. Hour 2 next with your questions on the ET Connection coming up. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
come hang out with me, Little Richie G, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio. We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more. Keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. We say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, in Dangerfield, Texas, AM 1560, KDNF. We're on WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and down in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. On the digital side, we're on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, all of our archives are free once again at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Flosculation. Flosculation is our password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping. Soon at our coming store, we're going to have some great swag for you coming up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. New Peak Woo shirts, new Team Stump shirts, new Spaced Out Radio shirts, and another big lineup. And of course, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire as well. The ET Connection happens the first Friday of every month, and we're always proud to be joined by our Keith Andrews, our resident ET expert. Keith, thank you so much for coming on in tonight.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, always a pleasure. Yeah. I cannot believe how long we've been at this. You know that?
I know. Almost 4 years, man. Almost 4 years of being woo-tacular on the first Friday of the month. Now, we're going to start off with a question from Joey here. He is asking, do the off-worlders, Keith, ever allow you to take a selfie with them?
Frankly, no. I mean, I have enough trouble getting cameras to work down here, never mind up there. But there is a reason for it. They've got their access points. There are a few people that do have working pictures of them, and you love it because they actually open the door and show people through Hollywood. Some of the races that are shown in Hollywood are actual real races.
Really? Yeah. Like which ones?
Well, oddly enough, you take a look at the the show Alien?
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from the extending center jaw, they actually built it right. Like, it's very much a real race. Not a fun one, but it is a real race. Okay, they are actually the Chick-Chock. Right.
Chick-Chock.
Chick-Chock. They are they are definitively acid-based, but for lack of a better way of putting it, from a human standpoint, they're sort of insectoid. Okay. Then another one that is, like, everybody knows about Close Encounters of the Third Kind from the original series. The original.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant rendition of the Greys. also known as Zeta Reticuli. Right. And then if you remember the movie Predator?
Yeah.
Those are your Maldocs. Not
Maldocs.
a nice group of people, but, again, rather vicious little crew. And of course, when you take a look at Jupiter Ascending, those are your Tormenon.
Okay.
No,
what about E.T.? What about E.T.?
E.T. was, quite frankly, not. I mean, what it is if you will, a stylized version of a Grey. See, they do walk a little funny, but not that funny. But no, E.T. itself, as in E.T. Phone Home, I take it you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. That I'm aware of, and I'm not aware of all of them, but I have not seen one. I've seen one built that way.
What about on the movie Independence Day, where they look like Greys combined with Kraken?
Yeah, simply put, those I've never seen. The assembly setup, or not the assembly, what do they call it? The containment rooms that they've got them in, those are real. But the aliens that they've got there are not built that way. Now, on the other hand, I believe the movie was called Arrival. Okay, you've heard me talk about the octopods?
Yes.
You remember I think the movie was called Arrival, where they had the tentacled entities that were communicating by writing in circular ink. Okay, I don't know if that the big egg that was floating over the field. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I've got the name of the movie right, but that particular race is very much a real race. But yeah, I mean, I get a kick out of it. The mechanical thing in Independence Day that they showed, where they opened the thing up to find the little guy inside, those are real people. Okay, those are real mechanical constructs. Now, they had the race that they showed in there, not so much, but the construct was. Because there are some races that, quite frankly, do not have the ability to fight on equal territory. I mean, if you take a look at the gecko race, they're just not big enough to be a threat, unless you start giving them, well, the ones that run, though, run what you're referring to and what we're talking about, those mechanical things, those are, you'll love this. If you think the rats we've got here are a pain in the neck, you should try those ones. Because they are extremely technologically advanced. What you're talking about, the armor they use is literally amplification armor. It's designed to bring them up on equal footing.
All right, let's move on with the questions here, because they're starting to pile up. Let's go over to Twitter. And Greco has a question for you. He says, Keith, have you ever communicated with an alien who saw creatures here on Earth that we call mythical, like dragons or kraken, and what happened to them?
Okay, number one, the answer is definitively yes. Many of what we call mythical creatures are actually living inside the Earth. They're not exactly, as we know, mythical creatures had somewhere that they started that people saw them to start with. And that being said, some of these mythical creatures aren't exactly what I call mythical. Your fairies, the elves, the dwarves, the leprechauns, these are all real people. Dragons are absolutely real. Matter of fact, about 5 years ago, they actually found them in the skeleton of a baby one, complete with the charred nasal cavity.
Right.
Which was kind of neat, but the people that have seen them, or the off-worlders that have seen them, some of the races, the off-worlders will not abduct. Okay, or more to the point, cannot. One of the biggest races that will not tangle, one of the biggest, what I call ancient races, which are the ones that evolved on Earth, even the off-worlders won't tangle with, are the elephant race. They will not try and abduct them. They've tried and it has never gone well.
There's an elephant race?
Actually, I said elfid.
I thought you said elephant.
Well, there is an elephant race, yes.
Where? Where's the elephant race?
Well, they're based they are literally based in Africa, but I shouldn't say based, that's their surface access. But they are actually underground. Like, they actually live. If you go, like, there is an access point in Kilimanjaro, as in Mount Kilimanjaro. Now, I wouldn't recommend going there because the way you get into it, if you don't know how to do it, you will end up dead. Got nothing to do with the race. It's got to do with the difficulties in navigating a lava flow.
All right. Let's move on here. And thanks, Greco, for the question. Derek on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio wants to know if the old TV show character Alf was a real or is a real alien species.
Alf was based on a real one, but Alf himself, and especially with regards to liking to eat cats and what have you, well, of course he liked to eat cats. You're dealing with a carnivorous race. Alf was patterned after a very what's the word I'm looking for? Made it look like a cartoon. But Alf was based on Awara. Okay. Just they elongated the nose because of, if you will, theatrical adjustment. Now, the Awara they are carnivorous. Will they eat cats? Yeah, they'll eat pretty much anything that's actually, meat-based.
Gotcha.
Do they have that kind of a sense of humor? No. Quite frankly, they got very little of a sense of funny.
Why is that? They look so cute and cuddly.
They do, but rest assured, it's kind of like the Ewoks. Everybody says they're cute and cuddly until you notice the backdrop around them.
Till they drop an elbow from the heights of the trees right on your solar plexus.
And then roll you over into the fire pit to make dinner.
Perfect. All right, Maureen on Twitter is asking, are the Muldocs responsible for the many people lost in national parks and forests every year?
They are undoubtedly responsible for some of them. Mind you, the ones that the Muldocs will take out are literally only the hunters. They will not touch the campers that go missing. The Muldocs won't touch them. Because Muldocs are literally your professional hunters. And a camper that's got a campsite and, has a barbecue for dinner is not a viable target. Now, the Tech-like, on the other hand, would have no problem with the camper that's just sitting there. So you basically two races.
Yeah, go ahead.
You've basically got two races that'll take people and not return them.
All right. PBR is asking, are there alien species out there that like to get romantic with humans?
Absolutely.
Where are they?
Yeah, no, this is not a dating service, but the races you're looking at, your Orions, your Arcturons, your Nordics, all three of those will and the Mobians, of course, will quite readily, if they find the right person. But if you're looking for just random, play around, Yeah, maybe not the best idea.
Okay. Let's move on. Joey is asking, have you encountered alien races that are not in the slightest resembling humanoid form? Not machines? If so, please describe.
Absolutely, yes. The best way I can describe it is, if you ever watched the old show, what was it, Star Trek, Starbase 9? Right. The people, whoever came up with that knew exactly what they were doing. Because that is a very definitive race. They have no skeletal form at all. And that would be the Korlock. They have absolutely no physical form that resembles a human at all. They basically look like about 160-pound amoeba. Another one of the races that do not. There's your 3 elemental types. Plus, of course, if you take a look at the Arborians are plants. They do not resemble humans in any way, shape, and or form. Okay, I think those are 2 of the big ones that have no resemblance at all to it.
Gotcha.
Oh, except the Nog. The Nog, on the other hand, definitely do not look human. They happen to be, essentially, they look like a worm. Okay. And those are just a couple of the races that have no similarity to humans.
All right, let's move on here. Jade is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, have you ever been in contact with the same aliens that Miriam Delicato had her experience with? Now, what's really cool is Miriam Delicato's incident when she was taken here in British Columbia happened in my town, about 11 minutes south of me.
Nice. Now, there's only one problem with my answering that question. Number one, I don't know who Miriam Delicato is, and number 2, I don't know what race she was taken by.
She got taken by, so first off, there were a couple of grays on the highway that after the car was pulled over that she was taken by, and then they took her into a ship where there was some humanoid, I believe Nordic type beings that were there.
Well, the answer to that question, then, given Greys and Nords, the answer is absolutely I've dealt with them. The reason the Nords are on board with the Greys is because people get really edgy when Greys abduct them. The Nords, because they look almost human, well, they do, they can pass for human, tend to help people calm down a little more. Not well, but better than what the Greys do. Besides that, I know of a couple of cases where somebody beat the living daylights out of the Greys that were trying to abduct them, and they needed the Nords to come in to restrain the people. Some humans get really agitated when they get abducted.
Yeah, I can see where that would be a little bit of a cause for concern. Totally see that. All right, let's move on to another question, as we only got about 4 minutes here before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. R. Keith Andrews is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Uncle Dale is asking, so are they abject failures and not disrupting us? They should understand, them being the Greys, that we will grow up and we will come after them. Do alien races also like have late night talk radio? I think they only go to shows that show up for work, Dale. But that's just me. What do you think, Keith?
Well, a couple of issues. Number one, do they fear humans coming looking for them? Not in the slightest. Humans are, according to the off-worlders, they worry about them because humans are curious and have a very definite, almost indomitable will. Plus that neat little ability to handle zero-point energy. But are the off-worlders worried about being attacked by humans? No. And here's why. In a nutshell, one EMP pulse from one of their ships, and mankind is completely, irrevocably grounded. And the EMP pulse they use will not hit only one side of the planet. It'll cut right through the heart of it. That's why they don't worry about it, because they can ground mankind faster than mankind can do anything about it. The hope is that mankind grows up enough to realize that starting a fight with a race that has traveled millions of light years to get to them isn't necessarily a good idea. But they also understand that mankind is a very infantile race right now.
Okay.
That's what you're looking at.
All right. Why do they think that we are in a mass issue right now?
Well, because quite frankly, you're being taught fear. See, humans are not born afraid. They're taught to be afraid. And because of that, what happens is mankind is so caught up fighting itself that it's not capitalizing on the true potential that the human race actually has. You know, it's kind of a funny thing from their standpoint, and this is what's got them, and got so many of them coming around, is mankind is at an incredibly exciting socioeconomic standpoint right now, where it is either going to start pulling together or tear itself completely apart. You know, the off-worlders are not the real problem here. But it does make for an interesting class study. You know,
but it does.
You know, if you think about it, this is a turning point in civilization that you just don't get to see very often.
Fear sells, though.
Yes, it does. And that's the first thing that people have to realize, is that when they get past the idea that fear sells and that war is actually a good thing, the off-worlders, yes, they have war, but they go into war with a very simple rule. Their idea of war is, if you're going to start a war, make it fast and get back to relaxing. Their only rule of war on the whole is survive. You know, but that could get into a whole different set of conversations. I don't think you want me to go there. Yeah.
All right, on that note, Keith, good time to wrap things up as we'll go to break here at the bottom of the hour. The ET Connection with our Keith Andrews happens the first Friday of every month. Keith's next appearance will be Friday, October 4th. More Spaced Out Radio with our Keith Andrews right after this.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Themer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology: Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. We've passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Always a pleasure to be broadcasting to you. Reminder that if you've missed moments of this show or others and you want to check it back out, head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. We got Bumblefoot. You can rock out to him, or if you've had a weird experience you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. We got more coming for you very, very soon. Our Keith Andrews is here the first Friday of every month with the ET Connection, taking your questions if you're on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio or in one of our 3 chat rooms that we follow. Spreaker, we have the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, or Revolution Radio. Thank you so much for playing along with us. Keith, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Not a problem. I want to say hello to Nick in the chat room for the first time that I've seen him. And thank you, Nick, for tuning us in. He says, Keith, have you ever had space flu or a cold from interactions with various races?
Well, I certainly wouldn't call it a cold, but space flu, what amounts to it, yeah. By the way, space flu for many people is actually terminal. It's an interesting situation. But permanent, not really. Have I suffered from it? Yeah. And no fun. You know, what they call, when you take a look at people sneezing, you know, because you get a cold on Earth, you get a sneeze and sometimes it hurts. But it doesn't tend to rupture your lungs, which theirs does.
Right.
It's in humans.
All right. Let's move on here. Robin is asking, and I like this question by Robin, and he'll actually be seeing us. He's coming to the Force Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, September 28th. So thank you. He is asking, how do aliens pick who to abduct?
That depends on the alien, but there's a combination of things. Sometimes they do it by blood type. Basically, for statistics' sake, many times because they track generations, many of them follow generational tracking. Sometimes what they're doing is they actually are picking by pheromonal outlay. Pheromonal tracking, meaning they pick up on the scent of a given human.
Right.
Okay. Now, needless to say, once they get a tracker in, and once they get a tracker into somebody, it's very easy to find them. But the choice and the choosing really depends on what they're trying to find out. Blood type only comes into consideration if that is what they're working on, but one blood type does not make a group more susceptible than another. It's the same as one nationality does not have a higher probability of being abducted than another from their standpoint. You know, the only time that plays a part is if they're trying to study a given nationality. Like the Chitawari are known for taking Africans. Of course, the Chitawari are dug in Africa, so that would explain that memory. Okay, they're not on the other planet, on the other continents, which is why they don't touch the other peoples.
Keith, I want to kind of add to that question a little bit because, you know, we always hear stories about who is taken, and not to turn this into a racial thing, but it always seems to be Caucasian people or First Nations people. Rarely do we hear the stories of African Americans or Chinese or Japanese, Oriental people or Middle Eastern being taken. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like it's always First Nations or Caucasian people that we hear the majority of stories from, or people from Latin America, so to speak, with more ties to the Inca and Mayans back in the day. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, the reason for the Caucasians being taken is because Caucasians are the minority race, and they are a growing race, or a growing nationality. They're a growing bloodline. So, of course, if you've got what the off-worlders consider a recessive gene that is starting to gain dominance, they want to know why. Okay, like, you got to understand, we're talking about scientists here looking at the sociological evolution as well. And much as the Caucasian strain is a minority strain, it still holds a dominant position on the planet. Now, as far as the so-called First Nations, what you're looking at is a group that is so tightly tied by their heritage to the natural order of things, to the planet itself, that is the one bloodline, the one human strain that has a direct tie to the planet that they can actually quantify on a subquantum level. That's why those bloodlines, why those human strains get picked. Now, that being said, you don't hear much about the Chinese getting taken because they don't talk. Okay, it's kind of like when you take a look at the South Americans and Central Americans, the descendants, if you will, of the Mayans and the Incas. The Quattle they're not looking for a whole pile, they're centered right around there, which is why it's that group that got taken. The other issue of that is that the Incans and the Mayans are descendants of the Lemurians, meaning their higher senses are much more naturally highly developed. So if you're looking for trying to make contact or trying to get a way to communicate a little more effectively with humans, take the humans that are, from a genetic standpoint, already predisposed to being able to do so.
Gotcha. That kind of makes sense. To me. I don't think I fully understand that as of yet, but I mean, it is something that we could eventually learn about, because that's one of the things that actually interests me about this. Is why is it certain people, just like Robin asked. Let's get to Darren's question. He is asking, in your opinion, how many deaths have been attributed to alien abduction?
I have no idea. And there is no way I can even fathom and guess on that one. But given the propensity of the Teklik and the Wara, and the length of time they've been here, you can bet there's been a staggering number of them. Understanding the Teklik figure that that's a delicacy and therefore it's something to be enjoyed. And the Wara, well, it literally boils down, let's not forget the Moldovs. So there is undoubtedly a very high number that are taken, but they are also, the numbers that are taken are controlled by the consortium. They're controlled by a contract. They're controlled by the consortium going, no, you are not doing that. It's kind of like the idea of, you take the humans have a game reserve, and they sell a certain number of licenses to take down a certain number of a particular game. Okay, it's the same kind of a setup.
Right. Are you banging your pick again?
No, I just sat it down.
Okay. So continue, please.
Yeah. No, it's not a question of being contract set up by anybody but the consortium. So they are literally, the consortium literally goes, yeah, we know you've got to do it, and we're either going to control it or you're going to do it anyway, and then we got to wipe you out. Not wipe out the human race, but wipe out the offending off-worlds. Because the one thing that humans have got right, when we talk about this being a protected planet, it is, but it's not quarantined.
Right. Makes sense. Okay. So, as we follow up here with that, do you think that there will ever be, let's say within the next 50 to 100 years, that human/alien interaction?
Oh, yeah. Given that kind of a window, yeah, quite frankly, I do.
Okay, 20 years.
That's probably, I mean, we can go with the obvious issue and go, well, we're already having the interaction, just people don't have any functional proof. I'd be pleasantly surprised to see it happen within 20. Within 50 would not be an entire shock, and within 100 is almost a shoo-in. This is, of course, presuming that mankind does not kill itself beforehand.
Well, I'm interested in that because, the whole disclosure movement that has been coming up over the last 18 months, it's got a lot of people hyped up, especially many people who are just finding ufology for the first time, Keith. One of the questions that I have been asking a lot of researchers out there over the last month since you and I last talked is the question, are the experiencers the forgotten souls in this whole new disclosure movement where people are pushing the government for answers? And the government will never give the answers. I don't believe they will, but that's a personal opinion. They'll give us just those little morsels, those little tidbits to keep us hungry. But in the end, those who are experiencers, those who have had aliens at their window, been taken, had craft land in their yard, just been meandering through a forest and come face to face with aliens. Maybe it's in their house, or while they're camping, or on holidays, whatever it may be, Keith. There's a lot of trauma that goes along with that, whether the experience is positive or negative. When you see that, and you see what people have gone through, heck, when you think what you have gone through, do you feel ripped off by the disclosure movement because the experiencers are not really being included?
Do I feel ripped off? No. Do I feel extremely disappointed in the human race for keeping that kind of a fundamental impact hidden? Absolutely. Again, the only reason I don't feel ripped off is because, well, I don't know any other way to look at life. I've been this way my entire life. So it's a little hard to feel like something's been taken away or not given.
Is that an alien spaceship behind you? It's been landing there, or are they doing some road construction?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I saw one side, I was looking at it going like, that's a little blatantly obvious.
All right. Hey, I want to ask a question from Twitter coming from Greco. What alien race is responsible for impregnating women and later abducting their babies from the womb, and why?
That'd be the Greys. And the why would be the hybridization program. Okay, you get an active womb, and you put the child, you let the child be birthed or be carried there for the little while. Once it is established, once the cell structure is secure, pull the fetus and pop it into the incubator and keep an eye on it where you can govern how it grows. Easier to control the growth properly. Because let's face it, the Greys are far more adept at handling a hybrid child than a human will be.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
how many hybrid children do you have?
Now that is a good question because I never looked. It never dawned on me to bother checking. So I don't honestly know if I do. And then, of course, there's that question of why wouldn't you check? Never came across it as a real, the two kids I've got down here, I know about them, I keep an eye on them, and that's pretty much how that sits. But I don't look at life the same way as most people.
Mm-hmm. I get that. I can appreciate that. Keith, what about the fact that, you've been up on craft dozens of times, hundreds of times maybe. Have they ever given you any type of souvenir
to
take back? I'm not saying a T-shirt. I went up in space and all I got was this lousy T-shirt or anything like that. I'm not saying anything like that. But have they ever given you any crystals, any type of metamaterial or something along those lines?
No, and there's a reason for that. You see, remember that issue about trying to make sure people don't have their life completely turned upside down? If they send something down with me, what they end up, aside from knowledge, what they end up with is a problem. And that is because of the way the human race is and the way that quite literally the governments keep tabs on people. Right. What'll end up happening is it would go into the government hand and the people and then, let's say, for instance, they wanted me to have it, it would end up being confiscated and taken. Right.
By whom?
From their standpoint, it makes no sense to send it down. Now, do I have stuff that I've got access to on ship? The answer is yes.
Did you trip and fall there?
No, I dropped my bottle of aspirin.
Oh, okay. By the way, we should, but before we go any further, we should actually update the audience on your health and status because you missed a couple of months earlier this year, at the beginning of the year, after suffering a pretty serious stroke right after Christmas.
Well, yeah, I called it pretty serious. I mean, it left me bedridden and unable to speak, so I chalked it up to being a pretty serious one. But yeah, and since then, it has had some rather remarkable benefits. Unfortunately, we just about didn't make today's show because my health is not as good as I would like it to be. As in my sugar levels, definitely my system is not handling certain foods as well as it used to. So, yeah, last night, went into a massive sugar shock. That was, quite frankly, one step shy of putting me in the ground. I keep cutting it awful close.
Well, I should also update the audience because I've been battling bronchitis for the last 4.5, almost 5 months now. And the damn thing is just being stubborn, will not go away. Started flaring up. So yesterday I was looking online for natural cures, just to see what was out there. And one of the cures, they said, was hot sauce. Because of the capsicum inside the hot peppers actually helps clear out the lungs from the mucus that builds up.
Okay.
I hate that word mucus. People hate moist. People hate the word moist. I hate the word mucus. Anyways, long story short, so after the show last night, I took a teaspoon of hot sauce that I have, and I got some stuff that can burn. I don't think it's hot enough to melt my former mother-in-law, but close.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone, will we?
And I actually felt better after 2 nights of coughing all night. I did not cough much at all last night. I took another shot this morning when I woke up at about 7:30. No, it was just after 8 o'clock when I took it, pardon me. And barely coughed all day. I can feel my lungs getting a little bit tighter as the night goes on. But after the show, I'll take another shot of hot sauce and burn it out again. It's actually, I honestly think it's helping. Well, I really do.
Considering the fact that my lungs have been having fun all along, probably wouldn't hurt to try it. I'm a firm believer the old methods work better than the modern ones. Of course, that's probably because the modern ones don't work for me. You know. So, should I ask you if there's any special brand that we should be looking at?
Just anything that burns. Anything that burns. It's got to burn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not used to eating spice myself because my little guy can't handle it, period.
Yeah. But that's my health tip for today. Get sick? Hot sauce. Seriously. Just take a bottle, not the cheap-ass Tabasco or even Frank's Red Hot Sauce. Well, maybe for some of you, Frank's would work. Go for the burn. The hotter the pepper, the more capsicum gets in your system. You can always douse it with milk after.
Or tomato juice is actually better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever works. You know, anything to take the burn away a little bit, but you got to let it ease down the throat and burn all the way down, much like you just set your tongue on fire. And then you get to enjoy the experience of, how can we put this? Your lungs feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, I was thinking of enjoy the experience of breathing work for me.
Yeah, breathing helps. Breathing really, really helps. I'm a fan of breathing. I'm a big fan of breathing.
Yeah, I always find the not breathing thing is kind of disconcerting.
Absolutely. We got about a minute to go here before we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Our Keith Andrews is our guest with the ET Connection. Uncle Dale says Tabasco Chipotle is yummy. Maybe not therapeutic, though. Dale, use the Chipotle I told you to get. Aubrey D's Chipotle. That's painful. It burns. I love hot sauce, as stupid as it sounds. Totally off topic here.
Well,
I love hot sauce that just makes you pay the price. Like, you have to be at your best in order to take it on. That stupid hot that has no flavor, no mercy. You know, it's about as angry as your ex or your former mother-in-law who's still upset a house landed on her sister. You know, that's the kind of hot sauce I enjoy. Don't ask me why. It's stupid. There is no taste besides the burning.
Well, as the taste of the blood as the inside of your throat is burned away.
Oh, but, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm not sure. Absolutely. It worked well. I like the flavor of blood, but, you know, I'm a little twisted.
You are. That is true. We got Keith for another half hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Hour 3 with the ET Connection coming up next on Spaced Out Radio. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
come hang out with me, Little Richie D, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thieme. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back for the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio, our digital stations on the terrestrial side. WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia. We appreciate everybody tuning us in there. UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Yeah, Joe Montaldo's network. Thank you so much for tuning us in. KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. And down in Dangerfield, Texas, KDNF AM 1560. Remember, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Flosculation. Flosculation is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. For the final time tonight, we introduce our Keith Andrews. He comes in the first Friday of the month with the ET Connection, where we get all woo talking about everything extraterrestrial. Keith's next appearance will be Friday, October 4th, as we head towards Halloween. I'm sure we'll get some spooky stories about aliens that night. Keith, thank you so much for coming on again. Always appreciate it, buddy.
Always a pleasure to be here. Just love, and the questions in the chat room are just fantastic. Let's face it, that's what it's all about.
We should also give a big shout out that Keith and I will be making our way down to Cedar-Woolley, Washington on September 27th for the September 28th Forest Moon Paracon. And if you want more information on that, if you're in British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Northern California, and you want to make the trek up, highly suggest you do. It's a great event. Check out fmparacon.com. Eric Cooper's group puts a heck of a show on, and we want you to be a part of it as well. So make sure you check that on out. And Keith, I look forward to seeing you there again, bud.
I'm looking forward to it. We had a heck of a blast last year, and like I was just telling you on the break, it seems like just yesterday we were there at the third annual.
Yeah, I know. Going by very, very quickly. Now, Keith, Nick has a question. He's on Vancouver Island. He is asking, do some races contact from a distance, or is physical interaction preferred?
Well, the answer is yes to both questions. Some do prefer distance, some prefer physical. You know, and it really depends on not only the race. Depending on the race, they do have certain protocols, but even amongst the races, they've got their individual preferences. Carl was a prime example. The Greys have a tendency of abducting. Now, obviously, they have to go close, but they're not supposed to stick around to interact. Right. But some races, they just do not like being interacted with. You will never. The true Pleiadians have to deal with humans at arm's length. They have to pick them up from a distance. Because Earth's atmosphere will kill a true Pleiadian.
All right. This leads to another question on Twitter from Greco. He is asking, why aren't aliens abducting each other and leaving us alone? What makes us so special?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, but I think this is the first time I've ever been asked that. Humans are not the only race being abducted. And the funny part about it, and this is where it gets really complicated, aliens abduct each other, humans abduct aliens abduct humans. It's back and forth all over the place. It's just, I think the reason we've never been asked is because people are so caught up with the idea of humans being abducted, they forget about that. So well done on that question.
How come?
How come people don't think about it?
Yeah.
Well, face it.
Shouldn't we be?
Abducted are kind of a prominent concern for humans.
All right. When it comes to abduction, we always hear about lineage, that it gets passed down. So if you were abducted, there's a good chance your mother or one of your grandparents was abducted, and their grandparents, and so on and so forth. Why is lineage so important in ET abduction?
Because they're tracking migratory patterns of the human race. So when you pick a bloodline, you follow that bloodline and see where it goes. Which, as you can well imagine, you pick up one person, they become an adult, they end up with kids, and now all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 extra lines. Right. So, there's a lot that can be learned about migratory patterns of the human nomadic race.
All right.
But that's why they go after lineage.
All right. So if you were part of a lineage, how old are you when they start taking you?
That depends on the race. Now, in my case, it was birth. Okay, many are waited until they hit close to the teenage year. Like, they may pick them up once beforehand, but when they hit that age, when humans start exhibiting independence, that's when they usually target them. Because that's when the human brain starts to develop its own patterning, which is really what they're looking for.
All right. Do you think then that they are looking for any type of biological change?
Absolutely. Biological.
And if so, what?
They're looking for the stress impacts on a subquantum level. Usually looking at it through a triphasic assembler. And yeah, we are talking about technology that's a little screwy. But basically what they're trying to do is see what the impact of stress and thought process does to the genetic superstructure.
All right. Well, what about people who are drug addicts? What about people who are alcoholics? What about people who have disabilities? And I'm not saying physical disabilities, like, say, they lost a leg in a motorcycle accident or due to cancer or something like that. I'm saying, maybe mental disabilities or something along those lines. Autism or something along those lines. Down syndrome. Do people with health issues get taken, or whether they are brought on by themselves or by birth?
Oh, absolutely. Because, see, the off-worlders do not see the people that you've specified, people with autism and that sort of thing. The off-worlders do not see those as disabilities. They see them as different thought processes. Okay. The thing is that because the off-worlders do not look at humans as as either superior or inferior, they take a look at the whole package and go, okay, that one thinks differently. Let's pick it up and take a look. Find out why it thinks differently. Okay. But the reality is, even people with addictions or so-called disabilities still are human and still have a basic human brain. There was even a child years ago that was born. When she finally died, I think if I remember correctly, she was just about 11 years old when she died. But when they opened her brain up for an autopsy to find out what they found was something in the neighborhood of 11 ounces of water. And a cerebral cortex, and that was it. Okay, something like that would absolutely get their attention, and I have no doubt that she had been picked up a number of times before she finally passed.
Does age count? Okay, let's say, what would an extraterrestrial want to do with a senior citizen whose most of their life is already behind them, and they're, say, in their 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe even those who have, been lucky enough and fortunate enough to cross the century mark? Do they still get taken? And if so, why?
The why would be, now you're dealing with the onset of, the declining age. The closer people get to death, and then when you get people getting up into the centurion, into the 100-year age, people seem to look, number one, people are looked at as, holy mackerel, you made it that far, and all of a sudden you get a fair chunk of basically celebration around it. And so what the off-worlders are looking for is to see how that celebration impacts on the genome, on the subquantum level. That ultimately is what they look at.
But what would an elderly person have to offer an extraterrestrial outside of maybe looking into longevity?
Well, in all fairness, they also have to offer the immune system, the impact of what a senior's will is like that can help it get on that thing, stay on that long. Because humans have a tendency of dying too early, according to most ETs.
Right.
Most off-worlders look at the lifespan of a human and go, well, why are they, on the whole, dying early? And therefore, they look at the centurions and what have to find out what they're doing or what their mindset is that stops it from killing them early.
Okay, so on that note, when it comes to age, or it comes to the reason why they're taking us, why would they care? I mean, you mentioned that they think we die way too early. How long do the majority of alien species live? 500 years? 1,000 years? 10,000 years?
Well, that in the variations, a lot of them are only hit we'll call it 100-year mark, but understand 100 years in space, because they are not talking about 100 Terran years. Usually they're talking 100, usually universal cycles.
Okay.
Which can be a lot longer. You take the Laborians, for instance. Now, Laborians only live approximately 35 years of theirs. Problem is, for a Laborian, 1 day on a Laborian's life is 1 day is 1,000 years on Earth. Now, if you think they're living 35 years compared to human race, this is 365,000 years per year. Okay, if you look at it from that way.
Right.
Okay. Your Greys are only living about 150 years, which means very few of them actually get where they're going. You've got three different groups of people. You got the people going out on a long range research ship. You get you get two sets that go into stasis. You get one set that hops on the ship and goes. And we are talking when they're going out on a long range data gathering run, not when they're in a hurry to get somewhere. Right. So they put the first ray in, and one batch is to get the ship on the go. Second batch, and they'll die off, and as they start dying off, they wake up the others. And then when the second batch starts to die off, they wake up the third. Usually this is what's called a colonization run. So you get a lot of people dying in space.
Right. How many people do you think over the years, or let's say annually, do you think they are taking and not bringing back?
In all fairness, and it's only a guess, in all reality, but I'd be amazed if they were taking and not returning between all of them 10,000 people. They're certainly taking more than that, but most people they return.
Do they ever return them in the wrong place?
Oh yeah.
So let's say, for instance, you're up on a craft, and we'll use your location, Kelowna, British Columbia. Could you one day be taken and maybe be in Africa, in New York, in somebody else's apartment, or what have you, whatever it may be? Is that possible?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's happened.
Has it ever happened to you?
No. That hurt.
What'd you do?
Oh, I sneezed and bit my tongue at the same time.
Oh, that's not very nice. Why'd you do that to yourself?
Well, I like the taste of blood, so I figured, what the heck, I'm biting somebody else. Now, I missed the question you asked because I was busy trying to sneeze my lungs out on the floor.
No worries. Have you ever been taken and back to the wrong location?
The answer is yes, but fortunately, they've actually brought me back to where I belonged in the first place. It was funny, about 3 weeks ago, I got off shift and told my son I was heading out to take the garbage out. And bear in mind, I live in an apartment. Well, when I get off shift, we're talking 10:30 at night. I come back in. I didn't think to look at the clock. I come back in. My son was already in bed. So I'm like, okay. The next morning, he come out, and I kid you not, he looks at me dead in the eye, and he goes, "Dad, were you taken last night?" I went, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Because, Dad, I tried to stay up till you got back from the garbage, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I got too tired." Which, needless to say, means it was a little bit, for him, he says, and I told him, I says, I told you I've been being taken. He says, "Yeah, but Dad, I didn't really believe you." We had the same problem when it came to talking to the animals a little while ago, earlier this year. But it's one of those, you got to understand, I'm in my own room, on my own, with the door closed, so it's very easy to get me out. I got a window right here. But yes, I've seen a lot of this planet. Right. Most of it deliberately, but some of it by accident. Thankfully,
Greeko is asking, as we got about 4 minutes left with you, Keith, he's asking, tracking bloodlines to what end? Why is that important? The bigger picture is what? It seems like the overkill. The aliens need to have an overall purpose. So what is it?
Number one, overall, Earth itself is a data bank. The triple helix of the human genome is the repository of more information than humans even have a remote clue about. So the overall agenda, if you will, is data collection and analysis of not only the planet, but of the xenosocioeconomic standpoint of the human race. which is the dominant sentient surface dwelling race, i.e., the caretakers of Earth. That would be the ultimate goal. Because there is so much information that humans on the whole gather just by wandering around that's what they're looking for. Ultimately, that's the backbone of it.
Do the aliens want to be seen here? Do they want to be a part of colonizing this planet?
No. Don't get me wrong, some of the races would love to colonize. But there is an absolute forbiddance of that for one reason. It will interfere with the natural evolution of the planet. And it's a natural evolution that is of the utmost importance. Now, of course, the ancient races are beyond reprimand as far as the off-worlders go. The ancient races grew up here. They have the right to be here. Which works out.
Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, it works out well, because the other thing that you got to remember is if the off-worlders were to actually try and take the planet, humans haven't got a prayer. On the other hand, there's one race here that will make very short work of most of the off-worlders. Because they don't play by standard physics.
We only got about 90 seconds left with you tonight, my friend. And it is always a pleasure, Keith, to have you on Spaced Out Radio. Very much looking forward to seeing you in just about 3 weeks' time at the Forest Moon Paracon down in Cedar-Woolley, Washington. If you're in the area or you want a quick vacation, check out fmparacon.com. I think entry is only like $20. VIP tickets are like $90. There's some great speakers. Mike Morin from Haunted Crew of Canada will be there. Jason Jordan as well. R. Keith Andrews, Ross Allison, myself. We got a great lineup of speakers and events going on down there. Private little speaking engagements as well. There's a ghost tour. I'm very much looking forward to it because I like going to the haunted pub the night before, which is called The Hub in Concrete, Washington. It's become tradition that we go there. And when you go to the Hub, there's a few ghosts in there, and it's kind of cool to be hanging out.
The ones that are across the street.
Yeah, the ones across the street as well. It's a very, that town's got to be 100-plus years old. So, it is fantastic. Fantastic area where Eric Cooper lives in Forest Moon Paracon and fmparacon.com if you want to check it on out. And if you've never been to a Paracon, they're a lot of fun. Even if you don't go to this one, find one in your area. They are a lot of fun. You get to hear some spooky, creepy stories. It's worth the money, as long as they're not charging you an arm and a leg. Go check it on out. I think you'll enjoy yourself. Keith, it's always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, buddy. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
Our Keith Andrews, everybody. The ET Connection will next be on Friday, October 4th. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day before we wrap this thing up, and I got to go on a ghost tour. We'll be back.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Themer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacy, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Reminder, if you've missed most of this show or others, you can always go to our free YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. It's where we store our archives. And, of course, our website, spacedoutradio.com. If you're an experiencer, you want it investigated, fill out a Sightlines report, get your horns up for Bumblefoot, and read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. The captain works her tail off for us, making sure you have something to read wherever you may be. I know where I read them. I'm not going to tell you where, because Captain Shirk will get embarrassed. I'm teasing, but let's get to it, shall we? I read it right here while I'm in the studio. And I wait for Captain Shirk's theme to play here. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the downright awesome. 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Tom Brady is giving his thumbs up for U.S. soccer great Carly Lloyd and her ambitions to become an NFL kicker. Lloyd reportedly drew serious offers from a handful of teams who were in the search of a kicker during the preseason, but turned them down because of other commitments to the U.S. women's national soccer team and their victory tour. Brady, otherwise known as the GOAT, went on to say, I think if you're good enough to do it and teams want to explore that, then everyone should have an opportunity. Goes on to say, it's a highly competitive game and it's hard to find good players. It's hard to find good quarterbacks. It's hard to find good coaches. It's hard to find good linebackers. It's certainly hard to find good kickers. New England Patriots quarterback went on to say, it's kind of in a lot of ways survival of the fittest. It goes back to a very archaic way, but football is a very difficult sport because there is a limited roster size. You have to give everyone a chance to make the team. It's a challenging camp, challenging offseason, and the coaches decide on, or the owner decides, or the general manager decides who makes it and who doesn't. Everyone is trying to win games. The NFL is a very competitive landscape. He goes on to say, I believe the owners try to put the best people on the field in order to give their teams the best chance to win. Now, the possibility of Lloyd kicking in the NFL was brought up after she nailed a 55-yard field goal during an appearance at a Philadelphia Eagles training camp. Lloyd, who is coming off a Women's World Cup championship win, said she would pursue the league in 2020. Apparently, in order to curb the problem with rats in New York, they're going to get them drunk. Yeah. A machine, a trap door, and a pool full of liquid alcohol. That is the new plan. The latest weapon in the war against rats in the Big Apple. The rats are attracted with bait by a machine and sent through a trapdoor straight into a pool of alcohol-based liquid. It's one of the most rat-infested cities in the U.S., with rodents moving around through rubbish and train tracks, causing chaos for many residents. So how does this machine work? Well, in essence, it's a bucket which lures rats and then sends them to their death. It's a death bucket. Yeah, They're knocked out by the liquid and eventually drown in it, according to Anthony Giaquinto, or is that Giaquinto, the president of Rat Trap, who imports the device. The rodent dies in the tank, which can hold up to 80 rat carcasses. During a demonstration of the machine, sanitation workers opened the container, showing several dead rats floating in a green liquid. In a month-long trial in Brooklyn, a total of 107 rodents were lured and killed. Yeah, in July 2017, the city announced a $32 million program to cull thousands of rodents by installing rat-resistant bins. They also trialed a liquid bait that could make rats infertile, but these past methods have not worked. Reported rat sightings have soared almost 38%. Yeah, 38%. This new solution has been described as humane and environmentally friendly by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. He says it could be rolled out in some of New York's most rat-infested districts, but some, such as animal rights groups PETA, say this will be cruel and frightening. Of course they will. That's their job. New York alcohol traps will kill rats on the spot, but they do nothing to curb overall rodent populations, which rebound when animals remain fertile, says Elisa Adelin, PETA's director. So drowning, like poisoning, will be ineffective in the long run. Oh, they're so negative. So negative. So if you don't kill them, you got more rats. But if you do kill them, you're a rat for doing so. I don't get it. Oh, this is a catch of the century. Total catch of the century. So this dude from New Zealand lent quite a helping hand to a fellow visitor at an amusement park. What happened? They're riding a roller coaster, and dude in front has his phone slip out of his hand. And it was caught a few seats back while the other dude had his hands up in the air at 83 miles an hour. Samuel Kempf was in Spain last month for a sports tournament, and he proved to be just the person for the job at the Portaventura World Theme Park. During a visit to the theme park with his family, Kempf decided to try the Shambhala ride, which is one of the biggest attractions in the park. Great roller coaster. I'd love to go on it. Love roller coasters. There's a little Dave trivia there. Dave is addicted to roller coasters. Love the roller coasters. Doesn't matter if they're the metal ones, if they are the old rickety wooden ones, a roller coaster is a good time. Anyways, Kemp said as soon as after he boarded the ride with his cousin and the coaster soared to life, another passenger seated nearby dropped his cell phone. The guy is 2 rows ahead of me, he says. As the ride started to going and into its ascent before the drops, he had his phone out and he dropped it, and it just landed at the bottom of his cart. The cell phone hero said he was trying to reach down and grab it, but because he was locked in, he couldn't reach it. And I just jokingly said to my brother and the people who were there, get ready to catch. Sure enough, it came flying out. Yeah. So he got his big mittens on it. After the first drop, we rose up and I just saw the phone adrift across my view. So I reached out and managed to catch it. It was a triumphant save. Stunned, he managed to hang on to the phone for the duration of the ride and successfully returned it to the owner after the group eventually exited the attraction. The dude couldn't believe it, he said. Gave me a big hug. Saved him some money. There is actual video footage of the incredible catch. It's been viewed over 1.8 million times on YouTube as of Friday morning. Good catch, man. Good catch. Remember Bob Ross? If you don't know who Bob Ross is, go to YouTube. Because I think the majority of us listening all grew up with Bob Ross and his PBS, painting specials. Well, since May, more than 1,000 happy little trees have popped up across Michigan state parks, planted by hundreds of volunteers who replace damaged or diseased trees with healthy and happy saplings. Grown by prison inmates, the trees derive their name from the artist Bob Ross and his catchphrase, Happy Little Tree. The so-called Happy Little Tree program is the production of a partnership between the Michigan Department of Natural Resources and Bob Ross, Inc., timed to coincide with the centennial of Michigan State's parks. The initiative represents a revamped version of what was previously dubbed the Prison Grow program. As Michelle Cross, volunteer and donor coordinator for the DNR's Parks and Recreation Division, explains, to road trippers Alexandra Sheraton, inmates at 3 of the state's correctional facilities are responsible for growing some 1,000 trees every year. These plants, including emerald ash borers, oak wilt, paper birch, and other native varieties, are then used in volunteer-driven reforestation programs aimed at replacing trees felled by invasive species. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So when they're going to plant these trees, they're all happy little trees. Great picture of Bob Ross on there, too. Of course, the Happy Little Trees initiative circumvents the problem by using seeds from the region in which specific trees will eventually be planted. According to the DNR, the genetic advantage helps saplings better survive a local area's unique environmental condition. For now, Happy Little Trees Ahead signs featuring a caricature of the curly-haired artist are on display outside the Port Crescent State Park, Orchard Beach Park, and Yankee Springs Recreation Area. Additional signs will eventually be installed in other parks as well. Oh boy, Friday the 13th next week. Yeah. So, what's spooky about it? How about a rare sighting of the harvest moon? That's when a full moon occurs closest to the autumnal equinox. According to the Farmer's Almanac, contributing astronomer Joe Rayo, this combination is a once-in-a-20-year occurrence, so your next chance to see one would be August 13th, 2049. Don't know if I'll be here by then, but you never know. So, anyways, if you're in Central, Mountain, and Pacific time zones, you'll be able to see this unique full moon a week from tonight once the sun sets. And don't be alarmed if you notice it's a little brighter than usual outside leading up to the harvest moon. The moon will rise at nearly the same time each night, meaning it appears less than 27 minutes later every night, thus providing enough light for farmers to continue gathering crops during the peak of harvest season. But for those of the people who are on the East Coast, well, you'll have to wait just after midnight, 12:33 a.m., Saturday the 14th. Yeah, you got ripped off. That 3-hour time difference, 4 if you're in the Maritimes, 4.5 if you're in Newfoundland, you're getting ripped off. Yeah. So the event nearly coincides with an apogee, that's a point in its orbit which places it at its greatest distance from the Earth, 252,100 miles away. Don't be surprised if you hear people say that the moon appeared to be bigger or smaller than normal, because there's a real chance of either happening. Moon can't make up its mind. Top Republican on the House Homeland Security Committee is accusing the Navy of withholding information about reports of unidentified aircraft after officially requesting more data on the mysterious encounters. Republican Mark Walker of North Carolina, or representative, I don't know what that means. REP, what does that mean down there? See, up here in Canada, we don't know. Well, the ranking member of the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Subcommittee asked Secretary Richard V. Spencer in July to outline what resources the Navy is dedicating to investigating the sightings. He also asked if officials have found physical evidence to substantiate the claims and whether they are aware of any foreign nations or private companies that have introduced breakthrough technologies that could explain them. Navy Undersecretary Thomas Maudley responded in a brief letter on July 31st that the Department of the Navy takes these reports very seriously and continues to log sightings and fully investigate the accounts. But Walker said he is discouraged by the Navy's seemingly unwillingness to provide his committee with more data about the so-called unidentified aerial phenomena, the term the Pentagon prefers over UFOs. Yeah, the game continues to. And we all thought the Navy was going to play nice. Yeah, right. Well, Walker has expressed concern publicly that the craft could pose a threat to U.S. forces or territory. Why I am encouraged, the Undersecretary of the Navy confirmed that the UAP encounters are fully investigated. Goes on to say that there is frustration with the lack of answers to specific questions about the threat that superior aircraft flying in the United States airspace may pose. Navy spokesperson Joe Gradisher responded that the service is prepared to accommodate any further congressional requests for information. At this point in time, however, we have not received any new requests for updates on this issue, he said by email. Yeah, right. So among the revelations were sightings reported by pilots and other personnel assigned to the USS Nimitz and the USS Theodore Roosevelt battle groups in 2004, 2015, and 2016. The amazing part about this wasn't the Navy saying that they didn't collect that data? They had no place to store it, so they weren't collecting it. But now that all these pilots have come out and crew members have come out saying, yes, this did happen, oh my goodness, guess what? Now they're reporting it. Well, if you're reporting it now and you're saving those reports now, U.S. Navy, how do you have the videos from 04, 15, and 16? How do you have them if you weren't collecting them? Your public may want to know. Anyways, members of Congress of several oversight committees have also sought classified briefings from the Pentagon on the research in recent months. The Navy has insisted it is taking the report seriously. Yeah, this is all new according to them, including the potential this sightings could be explained by unmanned aerial systems or pilotless drones. Go figure. Finally, yeah, here we go. Aliens. We're going to end it on aliens. There we go. A new Gallup poll of 1,522 people in the United States found that 1/3 of respondents believed extraterrestrial spacecraft are visiting Earth. When asked to choose between some UFOs have been alien spacecraft visiting Earth from other planets or galaxies, and all UFO sightings can be explained by human activity on Earth or natural phenomena, 33% of all adults in the U.S. polled selected the first option. Go figure. Demographic groups more likely to believe in visiting alien spaceships, including the young, 18 to 29 years old, non-college graduates, and the irreligious, with respondents in those categories trending toward 40%. But even with variation across demographic groups, no category fell below 27% of respondents describing some UFOs as alien spacecraft. The Americans are wanting to believe. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Thought of the Dave is as follows. Yeah. Describe for me your experience of being taken by aliens. Okay, let's do that, shall we? Aliens, what happened long ago? Start off on Twitter, where Mr. Skeptic is kicking things off. I paid $1 for a box of chiclets at the border. I don't get that. UFO Jesus. I could see you asking this question, Dave, at the dinner table with your guests. I replied to that. You're right. It's happened. Diagnosis? My friend, you got aliens. Paranormal Avenger. It was scary. It happened near the border. I was thrown into the back of a truck and shipped to Guatemala, still shaking from the experience. Eric. Gave my exclusive to the TTSA. They seem to be hurting for material these days. Hashtag I'm a giver. Serena. My conscious memories are just of waking up and the room being lit in red and thinking, oh my, it's happening again. Have recovered some other memories, but those are only waking conscious memories. Chimp. It was like a wild party, like a 70s Art Bell swingers key party. Oh, my word. Oh, my. Michael, never been taken. Just saw a couple ships over my home, though. Lone Wolf. I have a vivid recollection of my finding myself outdoors late one night when I was around 2 or 3 years old, not knowing how I got there, and standing on a circular platform with a railing around it that started floating straight up above the treetops. Oh, goodness, that would be scary, especially as a kid. All right, moving on here. Alfred, it was dreamlike. Steve, well, one day the Tres Hermanos from southern Mexico picked me. We carpooled to the vineyard. They had green cards, so they weren't illegal aliens at least. Yeah, I think that one was a little bit... Probably should have read this one beforehand. I apologize. It's a Canadian thing to do. Daryl, sometimes I wonder if I have been taken when my boss yells at me, "Why aren't you done yet? What's taking you so long?" Okay. Gabe, the little jerks made me forget all the times they did it, except one time I went to Pennsylvania and I got a weird voice in my head that told me I got abducted while I was there. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up here. We are going to say a big thank you to everybody who took part in the Thought of the Dave on Twitter and on Facebook. Always appreciate the audience responses. In preparation for that, we'll do it all again very, very soon. And of course, we also want to say thank you to Captain Shirk for getting our SOR Newswire together. She does a great job with that. Make sure you go to spacedoutradio.com, read it on in, take it all in, just let it sink on in. It's worth it because she puts a lot of effort into it. We thank her for that because she's pretty awesome that way. Hey, this weekend, Saturday night, 21 hours away, Rich Giordano, Spaced Out Saturdays. Yeah. 45 hours away. The debut of Everett Themer on Spaced Out Sundays. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Best weekend crew we have ever had that are kicking it on up and getting things going to make a strong 7 days a week. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms, on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio, Revolution Radio, Spreaker. Thanks, Nick, for joining us for the first time in there. And, of course, the SOR Space Travelers Club. Please remember this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your week with us. It's been a fun time. We're going to do it all again on the weekend and then next week as well, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night, everybody. I'm going ghost hunting. Bye-bye. Da, 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 da. Come on, sing it with me. Let's do it again. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. One more time. You can do it with me before I cut out here. Da, da, da.